Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Patrick from ProgrammerGoals.com, and today let's talk about making story-based indie games without cutscenes, voice recordings, or even any texts at all. Alright, let's think about famous games like Limbo, Inside or Journey, for example. Now, you might want to argue if these are really indie games, but still, these games are perfect examples for story-based indie games without actually having a story. They don't use these typical elements like cutscenes or voice recordings, but still they deliver a beautiful storyish experience. Now you might think Journey is something completely different because that's a multiplayer game, but this is true. You can experience a story actually with another player, and that's what this is all about. Experiencing a story and creating a story and experience, or even an adventure if you want to call it that way, by yourself. So what do these games actually do? The keys here are gameplay elements, using the environment, and also, of course, scripted events. Now you might think you are on your own or you don't have a big budget, but let me tell you, you don't need a big budget or even a big development team. Just be creative. This is what making games is about. Being creative and using the things you have in a creative way that you can deliver a great game for the player. But to give you a better example, let me show you a game I am working on right now. You can't get it anywhere, it's just one of these side projects I never seem to finish, but still, it's a game where I think I can show you what I mean by the idea of creating a story-based indie game without actually using or implementing a story. Now the game is called Mind Maze, and as the name might already suggest, you're playing in a maze and this maze tries to play with your mind. But for a better explanation, just let me show you the game. Alright, so we play this little fella here, and as you can see, this is a very minimalistic approach. We have not many assets, just this little character, the standard cubes from Unity, and some textures on the ground. Really nothing fancy. So the only way we can go right now is up, and all of a sudden we are hitting a dead end. Now the only clue we have to solve this kind of puzzle here is this thing in the wall, but you can't really do anything with it. So what do we do now? What do we do next? Well, the only way you can go now is back. And then, whoops, we are entering a new area you haven't seen before. Okay, now I don't want to spoil too much, maybe I will release the game someday, but what we have to do now is go right and find this key here. When we go back with this kind of key, this will actually finally open the next area or level, as you can see here. Now, why am I telling you all this? Where's the story after all, you might ask? Well, the story is created by the player in his own mind. I hope you can see that the player will create a story and imagine the world of this game in her own mind, because this is actually the greatest power of video games. We can enable the player to create her own story, but help her with visuals and audio. But let's get back to Mind Maze for another example. So we enter level 2, we have to solve the next puzzle, and when we then enter level 3 here, now pay attention to the right side of the screen. Bam, there was another character, but who was that? Let's follow him. And then, bam, again another character, this time running past you, and of course when we want to chase this character, nobody's here. Again, the player continues to create a story and this world in her own mind. Questions may arise. Where am I? What is this place? Who was this guy? Is this friend or foe? Where did he go? Funny that this rhymes. And again, all the things you have to use are all the assets you already have for your game, and be creative with your gameplay elements, with the environment, of course with the scripted events, very important, but also not to forget with sound and music. The right music and sound effects can have a tremendous impact on the world you want to create and in turn the story you want to tell. Okay, but now the last example in Mind Maze. A bit further in the game, you are finally able able to see the other character in detail. But you cannot reach her because she's trapped in this giant glass box. Still, this character doesn't seem to be scared at all. She, or he, or even it, is just standing there and watching you, and you have to keep exploring the maze. Again, this gives the player opportunity to continue thinking about the story and imagining the world in this game. Now, the most famous games, let's say The Last of Us, for example, an amazing game, one of the best games I've ever played, and they really use everything. They have cutscenes, they use the game environment, they have, of course, voice recordings, scripted events, and the beautiful soundtrack and sound effects, of course. But again, if you're an indie game developer and you're on your own or just have a small team, try to be creative with the things you already have. Use all your assets to create a story with scripted events and tweak your gameplay and the environment. It actually can be pretty similar to a movie with an open ending, for example. We see every single scene of the movie, but a part of the story is created by our own mind, actually. Okay, that's it, guys. I hope you got the idea. I'd really love to read your comments below about the whole idea of creating a story in an indie game. And if you want more videos like that, please click the like button and don't forget to subscribe to this channel here. Thanks for watching, take care and happy coding.